Good afternoon and welcome to today's Global Trade News. Our headline story takes us straight to the Andes, where one of Peru's most Asian grains is making modern headlines, quinoa. Next. Quinoa has become a global superfood and now is looking to expand even further into Chile. But before this nutrition grain crosses the border, it must first meet a long list of quality standards and labeling that ensure every seed is safe and ready for the market. In this report, our team investigated what it takes for Peruvian quinoa to enter the Chilean market successfully. Our goal is to identify the key export requirements, analyze the standards and authorities involved, and propose ways to help Peruvian exporters strengthen their compliance and competitiveness. These access requirements play a crucial role in international trade. They guarantee product quality, consumer safety, and transparency. For Peru, understanding and meeting these requirements is an opportunity to turn traditional products like quinoa into global ambassadors of quality, authenticity, and sustainability. So stay tuned as we connect Peruvian heritage with international standards and uncover how this tiny grain continues to make big impact in global commerce. Next. Now let's move to the objective of our research. This project focuses on understanding how Peruvian quinoa can successfully enter the Chilean market, and to do that, our team established three clear goals. First, to identify the main access requirements that exporters must meet that can be sanitary, technical, and labeling ones. Second, to analyze the relevant institutions and certification systems in both Peru and Chile that regulate the export process as well as the main applicable standards. And third, to present findings and propose practical recommendations that can help Peruvian companies improve their compliance, strengthen product quality, and gain a strong position in Chile's market. Through these three objectives, our report aims to connect Peru exporting reality with the international standards that shape modern trade.
Okay, now we're talking about the literature review. The point one is a key finding for existing research between the framework for international trade between Peru and Chile. The several studies have analyzed the challenge faced Peruvian agricultural exports in accessing the Chilean market. The main finding we have that despite the free trade agreement and the Pacific Alliance, no tariff barriers persist and hiding access for Peruvian products to the Chilean market. These barriers are related to phytosanitary requirements, labeling, quality certification, inline production inspections, and sanitary controls, all of which increase the cost and lengthen for export process. And also that I was exporting for SMEs and potential quinoa exporters face financial limitation in covering the cost of certification and compliance with international standards. For the other side, we have the Bardeles Tuesta and Diaz Aguilar in 2021 point out that the main barriers are financial and legal, and signs that lack of access to credit hidden investment in infrastructure or export quality process. And also, Soraya Morris demonstrate that no tariff barriers are the key obstacle even in establishing sectors like as avocados due to Chile's demanding quality and phytosanitary control protocols. Finally, we have the Munoz in 2021 highlights that the pandemic accelerated the digitalization of custom procedures, which represent an opportunity to facilitate the trade between these countries. To export of Peruvian quinoa to Chile shares the same dynamics, while there is a strong demand in the Chilean market for healthy and natural products. The technical, sanitary, and financial requirements represent significant challenge that must be addressed to achieve a sustainable market and trade. Next, please. In the point two, we have the relevance theories and theoretical framework to understand the impact of barriers and access requirements on quinoa exports. The following theoretical approach and analytical framework are considered. First, we have the WTO, SPS, and TBT agreements that in the case of quinoa, these agreements underpin the requirements for phytosanitary certification, chemical residue control, and nutritional labeling imposed by Chile. And also we have the transaction cost theory. For quinoa exporting of FCMs, these costs can reduce their competitiveness and limit their ability to access more demanding market. And also for research resort-based view, this framework indicates that companies must develop internal resources and differentiation competition, such as organic certification, traceability, and standardization good quality to overcome access barriers and competitive in international markets. Then we have the trade facilitation theory. It designs the modernization of custom procedures and digital process between Peruvian and Chile are key factors for boosting quinoa exports. And finally, we have the international cooperation and regulatory harmonizations theory based on the principles of economic integration. This theory maintains that bilateral coordination of technology and sanitary standards can reduce barriers. In the context of quinoa, this will imply that standardization and phytosanitary standards or the mutual recognition of certificates, those facilitation the trade without compromising food safety. Next, please. Okay, also we talk about the access requirements. About the definition and the importance of them, the market access requirements are the set of rules, procedures, and certifications. The product must be legally entered to the foreign market. This includes the sanitary, phytosanitary, quality, labeling, packaging, and commercial documentation regulation. In the case of Peruvian quinoa exported to Chile, compliance with market access requirements allows of maintaining the confidence of Peruvian buyers. Of Chilean buyers, protecting the reputation of the Peruvian products and ensuring the sustainability of bilateral trade within the framework of the Peruvian and Chile Free Trade Agreement and the Pacific Alliance. Next, please. About the categories of requirements, the first of all, we have the regulatory of legal requirements. These are the regulation imposed by governments to govern the trade of goods. In the case of Peruvian quinoa exporter to Chile, these requirements are overseen by institutions such as SENASA in Peru and SAC and MINSAL in Chile. To export quinoa, a phytosanitary certificate issued by SENASA is required to guarantee that the product is free of pests. In these pictures, we have the sanitary requirements, but also for this product, it's not necessary the sanitary certificate. In addition, processing plants must have sanitary authorizations via BUSE. The next, please. Okay, finally, we have the technical requirements of quality or quality standards. The requirements to ensure that products meet quality, safety, and health parameters. In the case of quinoa, they include, it's very important for them the maximum residual limits. Now we have the all limitation of this product. To export into Chile. And also the voluntary certifications such as a Global GAP, ISO, Fair Trade, and Organic certification. Next, please. Okay, now the market and trade requirements. These are operation procedures that allow the movement of the product from Peru to Chile, guarantee its current identification, transport, and marketing. That include registration as an exporter via SUNAT, general documentation like commercial invoice, packaging, transport, certificate of origin. In the labeling, we have the product name, the country of origin, the manufacturer and inspection date, ingredients, nutrition information, importer information, and octagonals. Finally, we have the packing and packaging. The material must be new, clean, and obviously not toxic. And wooden packaging must comply with the international standard, the ISPM, with a heat seal issued by SENASA to prevent the spread to pests. A quinoa exporting company must be ensured if the sacks or containers are labeling in Spanish with all the requirements information. Next, please.
Now, for Peruvian quinoa to enter the Chilean market, it is important to know which competent authorities control the access requirements. In Peru, there are three main actors: MINCETUR, SENASA, and SUNAT. In MINCETUR, which defines the trade policy and agreements with Chile and provides the overall framework for exports. SENASA, which is responsible for agrarian health, it checks the quinoa, control pests, and issues the phytosanitary certificate. And SUNAT, which verifies the export documents and that everything complies before the product leaves the country. In Chile, the controls continue with SAG, which inspects quinoa at the border and check that it meets Chilean phytosanitary requirements and can retain or reject the shipment if there are problems. And the Ministry of Health, which oversees food safety and labeling, ensuring the product complies with Chilean regulations before it reaches consumers. In summary, Peru certifies quinoa before exporting, and Chile verified compliance with when it enters the country. This coordination between authorities is what allows Peruvian quinoa to access the Chilean market legally and safely.
I will talk about relevant standards and accreditation bodies for Peruvian quinoa export to Chile. Next, please. When quinoa is exported, it needs to follow quality and safety rules from both countries. In Peru, the main organization is INACAL, the National Institute of Quality. It gives the MTP 25.062 2013 standard, which say how quinoa must be clean, dry, and with good labeling. Another important institution is ENASA, which checks the grain and gives the phytosanitary certificate, confirming that quinoa is safe and free of pests. In Chile, there are similar organizations. The INN creates the Chilean standards called NCH, and the SAG controls the products that arrive from other countries. Also, the RSA, or Food Health Regulation, checks that the product has the correct label and is safe for people to eat. Next, please. Next. Both countries also use international standards like Codex Alimentarius for food safety and ISO 9001 for quality management. They have many similarities, both want safe products, good labeling, and fair trade, but there are some differences too. In Peru, the standard focus on how quinoa is produced and certified before export. In Chile, the focus is on labeling and control when the product enters the market. In conclusion, for quinoa to be successful in Chile, it must follow for both Peruvian certification and Chilean import rules. This help keeps the reputation of Peruvian quinoa as a high quality and sustainable product.
And cave findings and the access requirements for exporting Peruvian quinoa to Chile are strict and include sanitary, technical, and labeling regulations. Authorities from both countries, such as SENASA in Peru and SAG in Chile, play important roles in ensuring the product's quality and safety. Also, Peruvian quinoa must meet specific standards for purity, moisture levels, pesticide residues, and labeling, which are regulated by bodies like INACAL in Peru and the Ministry of Health in Chile. And the main difference between the standards of Peru and Chile are in the production stage in Peru and in the control and inspection stage in Chile, especially regarding labeling and sanitary conditions. And recommendations for Peruvian companies improve training of phytosanitary and labeling requirements in Peru to ensure every batch meets Chile's standards before export, and maintain close relationships with authorities like SENASA and SUNAT to help smooth the certification and customs process, adopt traceability and quality control technologies to ensure compliance with international standards, increasing competitive. And for policymakers, remove bilateral agreements to better align technical and sanitary requirements between the two countries, making trade easier and reducing compliance costs. establish technical cooperation programs to help Peruvian exporters quickly adapt to Chile's standards and preventing delays or rejections at customs. In conclusion, Peruvian quinoa has great potential in the Chilean market, but companies must strictly follow sanitary, technical, and labeling requirements to succeed. Both countries' authorities play a crucial role in ensuring the products meet international quality and safety standards. Coordination between exporters, authorities, and public policies is key to strengthening the sector's competitive and making trade easier. And the recommendation provided will help maximize the success of Peruvian quinoa in the Chilean market. And references, and thank you.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.